man don't know shit.
We are rolling. Mr. Steve Creep.
Yeah, man.
A man that I met in around 1998 at Club Zone. Then it was Club 1, I believe.
Yeah.
And you were playing in a band called the Capones.
Yeah.
A rock and roll dude right from the first time I met you, and I knew right away that you were one of the lifers.
Yeah.
You know, when you play music for a long time, you see so many people come and go. I gotta take these glasses off.
Yeah, you some people, you look at them and you know right away, you're like, you'll be gone in a year.
You don't actually look that different than you did back then.
I guess.
Really?
A little more waist fat and facial hair, but yeah.
Am I right to think that, yeah, right? Am I right thinking that you pretty much live off of music now?
Yeah, I do.
Like completely, right?
Yeah.
There's not that many people that I know that actually live 100% off it.
Yeah, but I don't live off my music. I live off someone else's.
But it's still making music. Well,
it's still paying
or
the bills.
whatever comes with it, right?
Whatever comes with it, yeah.
Because right now, if I'm not mistaken, you play in a couple of bands and you sing solo in pubs or wherever you can play, right? Because you got to make a living doing
whatever you want
to
hire me for, that's what I'll do.
Oh, so you're a whore.
I'm a total musical
I
whore.
love it.
Put a guitar or whatever you want in my hands, an instrument of any kind, and I'll make some kind of noise and not disappoint you.
How many years do you think you've been playing music for?
I started drums when I was 15 in 1988, and I got my first gig in probably just a few years after that, 91 or 92 maybe was my first gig, and then I started touring in my second band in 94. It just took off right away. So.
What was your second band?
I was Pushing Up Daisies.
I was right. I was talking about you yesterday.
Well, technically my first band, but like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day. I'm like, yeah, Steve Creep coming on, and I think his first like major band anyway was Pushing Up Daisies because you guys toured quite a bit back then.
Yeah, we had the videos and the tours. And all that.
In the '80s, rocking the '80s.
Well, it was 94 to 97.
Oh, okay.
That run, yeah.
See, K-Man don't know shit.
I don't know shit. Living up to his name. All right.
That's it. And that's all in Montreal, basically, right? Like you grew up playing music in Montreal.
Yeah, even though we toured, we were always from Montreal and based here,
Yeah, because I know, like, one of the things I want to talk to you about, and why I said your first band was Pushing Up Daisies and you guys toured and stuff. I mean, you are one of the people that I know that have been able to see tours on many levels. Yeah. And because I know that you just came off a gig as being a guitar tech for the Def Leppard Tesla tour, the Canadian part of it?
We did the whole Canadian run, and I did some American dates with Tesla on the way back.
Okay, so you know what it is to be in, if you're lucky, a van when you
If you're lucky, a van, yeah. Sometimes you're like, in the early days of the Capones, we were going in 2 cars.
That's
like
it.
Brian would be in his car behind us, and me and Scott in that 77 Chevy or something. It was terrible. Or maybe an early 80s Chevy. It was
no hotels included.
Oh, you're looking. Any girl that'll let you stay in their house, or a sound man, nice enough. That's where you stayed. Yeah.
You know, it's funny because
and then being on a bus is like.
Well,
that's another world.
You are one of the few people I know that know the difference between, and when I say a major tour, we're talking buses. I mean, the production level of a Def Leppard Tesla tour must be absolute. Like, they're up there on the top.
Just Tesla alone was 1 crew bus and 1 band bus with a semi with all the equipment in it. Mm-hmm. And then Def Leppard, I mean, the band alone, I think, had 3 buses. And then there was the production was just mental. I can't even, in the teens as far as buses were concerned, and then you add the semis for all that video equipment, and it's
like for the live show video equipment. Or?
Yeah, because they've got like a city where you don't see in the audience part of the arena is underneath those rafters. It's just Technoville. It's cameras and I don't even know what half that stuff does, but there's just an army of guys controlling stuff, and it's
yeah. See, I've never seen like really. I mean, I've been to a few major productions. Like the last big show I saw was Iron Maiden, and I'm the type of guy that usually hangs out in small clubs and watches the local guys play. But I mean, to be able to to know what goes on, like on those major tours, is a whole thing, man. I mean, you know, it's like a Cirque du Soleil production style thing, you know.
Like I say, it's army ants, you know. Like I mean, it's one thing to see it from a spectator, but then to see it from underneath is a whole other thing. Because now you got they're hiring stage crews, so you need somebody to charge those stage crews around, and they got specific stage crews. Some are for video equipment, stage equipment, band equipment. So it's all got to be really organized, and you know, if one person loses their step, it changes the rhythm.
I'm sure.
So there's got to be a flow. Like even the stagehands, man, watching them work is just nuts. It's just nuts because they don't know what they're doing. They're just like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
You know, and it's not. I'm not like insulting them, but like this is a new production to them every single time.
Okay.
They don't know the specific words for a lot of these pieces of equipment, or like, oh, bring that there and this there. And
is everything separated in teams?
On the headlining thing, it is.
Okay, yeah.
You know, with us, we have local stagehands to roll in and out the gear, but we are in charge of our corner. So like, I'm Frank Hannon's tech, and at stage left. So whatever comes off the truck, I have to say, okay, stage left, just leave it there, and I'll figure it out.
You do the setup on it.
And I do the general setup, yeah.
So, what would an average day consist of? I mean, we're talking your role as a guitar tech. You know, the circus rolls into town. What's up?
You wake up in a bus. You're not sure where you are.
So you're sleeping in the bus.
I'm sleeping in the bus. Okay. There's probably about 11 of us on the bus, maybe 8 to 11 people, depending.
Including band, or
the band's got their own bus, and
right.
they travel with their tour manager, and sometimes the monitor guy is on their bus. With us, one of the band members.
That must have been the guy with the weed. How'd he get on the band bus?
I guess like seniority rules or whatever.
Right,
you know?
right.
I mean, you have to compromise, but they definitely have a nicer bus than the crew bus. Ours was still. I'm not complaining. That was
right.
It was just a lot of people on one bus. So like I try to make myself disappear a lot. You don't want to be the guy being in the way.
Right. Nobody wants to be that loudmouth guy on the bus.
No,
right?
no, exactly. So you would wake up. Nobody would wake you up. You just start hearing people wake up through the curtains, because you're in this like little coffin with a curtain that slides across, and you start hearing bodies move. You're like, oh, the bus stopped moving. I guess everyone's waking up. We must be at the arena. And sometimes it's a false alarm. You wake up and you realize you're just at a gas station. Or whatever, you know? So you get in the arena. It's around 9 o'clock. Nothing happens till at least 10. So I would walk in the arenas and just give myself a tour. Being a hockey fan, and I never really seen a lot of these arenas from.
That's true. All these big productions. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them in Canada are probably in hockey arenas.
A lot of them are, and a lot of these are NHL arenas. So I want to see. And even the ones that weren't NHL arenas, they're AHL arenas. So I want to see, where like a lot of the up and comers come from. You know?
Absolutely.
To see the pictures on the walls of where Patrick Kane came from and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
It's funny, rock and roll life in Canada, right? Tim Hortons and hockey. That's pretty much it. And rock and roll.
So you get off the bus, and keep in mind, we're the opening act, and you have to respect the headliners. Got to do what they got to do. And you got to be out of their way, but still get your job done. So it's a lot of hurry up and wait. And when they're setting up their video wall, the stage is on the soundman side of the arena. They're assembling that. Then they roll it underneath the lights once the lights are up. So it's like I said, army ants. Like one guy's got to have this complete by the time that's complete, and that goes up, that slides on. It's just Tetris. It's crazy. And
so what's the first thing you do once you're waiting for your time, I guess, to move?
I look for someone to shower or go to the bathroom, because you can't do any of that on the bus, right?
No washrooms on the bus?
Oh, you can go to the bathroom on the bus, but not number 2. Only number 1 on the bus.
Really?
Yeah, that's the rule. Yeah.
Shit. I mean, literally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no shit, literally. So you're running around looking for. A lot of times you're scrounging for a shower.
Yeah.
I mean, in this case scenario, I don't know how every single band does it, but as the opener, they're trying to save costs, obviously. I mean, they're making money, don't get me wrong, but it costs a lot of money to do this.
Right.
So you got 2 semis you got to pay. You got a truck that's holding all the gear you got to pay. Then you got to pay those drivers. If you're doing extended drives, they're not allowed driving past 10, 11 hours, so they got to get another driver in. So now you're paying extra shifts drivers. That's 6 drivers on the long drives. And then everything else, like you got a guitar tech, a second guitar tech, bass tech, drum tech, assistant, sound man, monitor guy, tour manager, lighting guy. I mean, it's boom, boom, boom. It starts
Yeah.
racking up the costs, you know. And some of these guys are not hurting. They're making all right money. So it's it costs a lot of money for a band like Tesla to do this.
I would love to see the breakdown of that one day. Like, just say, you know,
Yeah,
how
like-
much you're paying out versus how much is
Right.
coming in per show. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
and in America, these guys getting taxed hard, so it's I don't know. I don't know how much they make at the end of the day, but it costs a lot to make this happen, and it takes a certain person to do that job too, because you got to be away from home for a certain amount of time, and you know how that is.
Yeah.
You tour, so you got to know your job, you got to know your place. More than anything, you know, like you're like as a musician, I'm not Steve the musician anymore. I'm Steve Frank's tech. So so you're not just tuning guitars. Like you set up your corner, everyone's setting up their corners, and this is my first tour with Tesla, so I'm trying to learn their system. So I have to ask frequent questions. I'm that annoying guy, like, so hey guys, what do you do in this Canadian? You know, how are we doing this?
was there one guy that was always there for you?
Yeah, there was like maybe two, three
Yeah.
guys that were there. Yeah, when you couldn't go to one, you'd go to the other, and you try and make it happen. And then sometimes you'd improvise and either sink or swim. But they were understanding. They were a great crew. Nobody was really too harsh, you know.
Yeah. So you got stage left, and you're over there, and you have a setup for the guitars, and then you have your
Yeah.
amps and stuff. Are the amps on stage the ones he's using, or are they ones under the stage?
No, for both Def Leppard and Tesla, they're both on stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I know at some big tours they kind of have
Yeah,
dummy
I
pads
think
and-
AC/DC actually have their heads, and I think Kiss do that too.
Right.
Everyone's under the
In
stage,
isolation
yeah.
rooms there, right?
Well, Tesla have a brilliant setup, and I think this is why they get a lot of like arena opening tours, is because they're very efficient and really professional about it. They can tear that stage down in like 3.5 minutes to 5 minutes.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. The drums come in two sections. It's the back part and the front part. The drums are already set up on the riser, on a rack. He pretty much has to have the floor tom and the seat, and the lights are on the drum riser already. There's 3 racks of lights, like LED screens behind. They're kind of like just sitting behind the stacks, and the stacks are matching on both sides of the stage. So there's an SVT on 2 walls of cabs with backup heads and everything, and it's all bolted in.
So the bass player has his bass coming in on both sides of the
On
drums.
both sides, yeah. But it's funny because he plays like a Hofner, so that one comes through on this side, but his Gibsons all come on that side. It's
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really,
That's funny.
he's got his system, and it's funny. Like even though Dave Rude's playing through something that's on this side, he's only coming out of that side. I think it's just more like to make it look symmetrical. And
Right.
but their system is brilliant, and it just rolls on and off stage. The whole wall just slides on.
That's wild. I think I take longer than that just like untangling my patch cord, you know?
And that's another funny thing. Frank runs old school. He's got like a 50-foot patch cord
Oh, really?
on an arena. He's the only guy I still see doing that on arena stages. And
Does he have somebody running behind him trying to like,
Well,
make it so people aren't tripping up in it?
I'm watching him the whole time. I'm on the stairs, and I'm just like, because I mean, he's got a big pedal board. It's like almost the size of this table, and there's a whole reason for that too. It's not complicated, but it's just practical.
Right.
And so he's running around, and every now and then, like there's the corner of the pedal board will kind of snag onto the wire, and he'll shoot me to look. And but other than that, he's really got it down. He's been doing it for so long. He'll just run and he does the coral toss.
You're right.
See, he's really got his shtick down. He's been doing this for so long. He's so professional.
Yeah. See, I always find it cool. I mean, like both you and I, we've both been playing music for way too long to mention. You know what I mean? But there's something that's radically different about major scale shows. That's why I thought it was really interesting having you on here, because even though a lot of people play music, or a lot of people we know have played music for so long, there's always little things in those big productions that you had no idea. Like for instance, you're talking about the drum kit coming in 2 halves.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had no idea that they ever did that. You know?
In Def Leppard, it's all in one road case. It's this massive road case. It's already set up.
What?
They roll it on stage, they put it on the riser, and they take the case off like ta-da, like they're serving dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. It's already there. All the cabs are underneath the riser. The only thing with them that's different is Tesla controlled their own pedals,
Okay.
whereas Def Leppard, it's all the techs.
Was it the same tech though? Was it the guitar tech that was doing the pedals, or another tech was taking care of the pedals?
No, like if you're Phil Collins tech,
Yeah.
you're changing his strings, you're making sure everything's good, and you're you're like tap dancing.
So you need to thank Frank for pressing his own pedals then,
yeah,
right?
like, he took the pressure off there, you know. And Frank's got like a really, like Def Leppard are a bigger production, right? If you listen to those albums like Hysteria and all that, like
Yeah, for sure.
there's a lot sonically going on. Whereas Def Leppard is, Tesla is much more of an Aerosmith rootsy rock kind of band.
So he plays vintage guitars and everything, and he still punches in a
SGs,
cable.
yeah. So there's that. It's a lot more stripped down. But it's funny watching the two dynamics work.
Yeah. All right, so now Def Leppard's set up. They're done their sound check and everything. Now it's go time for you guys.
I'm under the hall. I take out Frank's vault and I open it up and I ask him, hey, what do you want me to change today? Normally it's always the acoustic. He uses that a lot, so he wants that changed every day, most of the time. And then there's which SG feel. Sometimes he'll leave it to me. He'll be like, oh, what do you feel? And I'll wipe over the strings and have a look. He lets me do whatever I want most of the time.
Nice.
And he trusts me, and he has his way of doing things. And I have to do it his way, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of freedom. I heard it could be a lot worse than that for some guys getting into this. You're working for a much more difficult artist, and I'd hate to be in that accident. Like I just heard that Lauryn Hill was in town, just ripping into her monitor guy the whole time.
I just heard that as well. I didn't even know that was a story, but apparently it is.
Yeah, it's like it started showing up all over my Facebook feed. Like, oh God, I know what that must feel like.
Right.
I've been on the side of that stage, and when somebody's pointing at you and there's a light and the audience is staring at you. Oh God, it's. I was just nervous screwing up on my job, and there was a few hiccups here and there, and Frank would laugh about it. Frank made a few hiccups too, where he forgot his slide bar and stuff. So I'd have to. It would be my job to think of ways of curing it. But yeah, so 9 o'clock you show up. 10 o'clock, Def Leppard's stage is starting to go up. Normally around noon, the stage is getting there, and Def Leppard show up around 3 o'clock, and by about 4 they're doing their sound check.
Oh wow!
So they're walking. Yeah, sometimes Phil Collin and Rick Allen are in there like 8 in the morning, and they're exercising. Like Phil works out all day long, and Rick Allen would just be watching the production go up. He just likes to roam the halls, and sometimes he'd stop and chat.
Right on.
And I had these albums growing up, so for me it was just like
we all did, and we admit it.
they're all just cool. There's Rick walking through the aisles. Hey Rick, sometimes he'd talk, sometimes he'd have to go, but. So you're basically just trying to get your job done, but being as it was my first experience underneath the stage, I wanted to kind of see everything that was going on. So if I had a free moment, I'd always kind of just take a walk around, sit in the stands and watch. I'd watch Def Leppard sound check sometimes if I was already done what I had to do.
Yeah.
But you got to keep in contact with your boss. So I'm asking Frank, you need water, and you need guitars backstage. What do you need? You need something from the bus, because they go on tour with like bikes and stuff.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So he'd be like, get my bike out of the bus. I want to go for a ride. And in Montreal, he was riding like down Longueuil, right here on the South Shore.
Really?
Yeah.
Right on. That's funny.
Yeah,
Well, why on the South Shore?
Because they were parked right by Longueuil Metro, because a lot of times we're in the outskirts because it's just easier to park buses there.
Right,
and don't forget, with Def Leppard in town as well, they're getting dibs on wherever they're going to park their buses.
Gotcha.
You're a guest, so you're just trying to stay out of their way in any way possible. You're not trying to get into the next town first and be like, I got your parking spot. So it's a lot of that. You're just kind of out of the way. And it's probably cheaper to park on the hotel.
So now you got the strings are all checked on all the guitars. Rusty ones are changed and all this kind of thing. Did you set up the amps as well?
Yeah, well, the stagehands come in and they place everything, and then I got to wire up the wall to his pedal board, and then I got to run the snake across the front of the stage and do his mic. He has like a little a tri-system where I run his theremin, his mic, and his acoustic all through this one snake. So I have to hook all that up, make sure it's working, and then make sure his guitars are ready. With the Def Leppard tour, they don't do their own check. Def Leppard do their own check, but like Tesla don't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you're running on a very limited time. Tesla were normally doing their meet and greet,
right?
And that was when we were doing their check for them.
Okay.
So my job would be to do Frank's guitar and just go through the motions, and you rarely had time to even do a song. We only started playing full songs on on the headlining tour, because then they got the whole day to themselves.
Right. Then
No
you get the
opening
time,
bands. Yeah.
and you have another
Now
guest
it's our
staying
show.
out of your feet.
Yeah, exactly. But you're still trying to like give you want to give everybody a fair chance.
Yeah,
too, you know. Like,
for sure.
they have a good reputation, I think, for being.
Well, in
really
this
cool.
business, there's really something to be said about be kind to whoever it is, because
Oh,
you know, 10 years go by, next thing you know, that guy's headlining or whoever.
Well,
you
let me
know?
tell you, Frank is like I met a few rock stars in my day, and Frank is one of the nicest guys you can work for, and most underrated guitar players I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, I even growing up with them having like 3-4 albums, I had no idea what this guy was really capable of. I mean, he does solo gigs. You should see what he does on his own. But
It always blows my mind. You get these, guys that have been playing their whole life, all right? And they've been playing in maybe one band for 30 or 40 years. You know that when they hear back those old albums, they're probably way better guitar players now than they were when they did that too.
And
you
he
know
was
what I mean?
great back then, but when you're listening now, you're like, wow, yeah, he is even. I mean, they start the show with guitar solos.
Really?
They have a song called "Coming At You Live," and Frank walks on stage and he's just ripping right away. The drummer's not even there yet. And then Dave comes on the other side and they do a duel.
Right.
And then that's when they start the song, and you're just like, man, normally, for me, I'm not nearly as accomplished guitar player, so like I need 3 songs just to make sure my voice and my fingers are ready. This guy's just coming out of the gates. Mind you, he's in his room noodling.
That's it. He's been warming up for an hour already, right?
Well, I'm tuning his strings. He's already warmed up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so now you got the amp set up. You got his strings are all tuned up. You got his picks in or his
all
slides or
together,
whatever.
yeah.
Everything's all ready to go. Show starts. What do you have to do during the show?
A whole time the show's going, while trying not to enjoy it too much, I'm wiping down guitars, I'm tuning the next one that he's got, I'm keeping an eye on him while I'm doing this, so I'm like behind his vault, and I'm just kind of looking over, making sure. And then I go to the stairwell as the end of the song nears, and I just kind of waiting around and watching his eye contact. So you got to learn the little habits there. And he makes it really easy, But there was one funny show where I had to switch guitars with him, and he goes, "Here, just take this one and hold on." And he runs back behind the lead screen, behind Def Leppard Center.
Yeah.
Where the fuck is he going, And I'm like, well, okay, I think I got a second here. I can run back and put the guitar in the vault, and I'll give him the other one by the time he's ready. Comes back, and I was so nervous I gave him the wrong one. I gave him the one he just gave me.
Oh,
And he's
man.
like, what the fuck's going on, man? And after the show, I go, man, I'm so sorry. I go, where'd you go? And he goes, oh, man. I could feel like the breeze coming on my dick, man. My zipper was down. He's playing in an arena, He's like, Jesus Christ, I gotta run behind the lead screen without making it look obvious. He's like,
I thought you were going to say you had to go take a leak or something.
no,
the show.
zipping up like behind the stage, and I think he had like leather pants on with the buttons, so it took him a few seconds or whatever. There's another moment where he forgot his slide bar and he came running out. I thought he was coming to give me shit. I'm like, oh fuck, I screwed something up. Here he comes,
Well, it's a lot of responsibility. I mean, being in a role, like I understand getting nervous in that type of scenario. I mean, the shows are what, 17, 18,000 people a night or whatever it is.
Certain arenas, a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even any fuck up, really, the show's on hold for a second. Sorry, my guitar tech's got to go,
You've seen those stories. I saw Peter Criss once rip into a tech, and I was like, oh. That feeling that poor guy must have, David Lee Roth at the US Festival during Ice Cream Man, he's going off, and 200,000 people there.
Right.
And he's singling the guy out, A little more feedback, Johnny, a little more feedback. And he's all drunk.
Wanting to hide.
Yeah, he's taunting, exactly. Like, oh, God, he must feel like shriveling up and just disappearing,
We know who's not meeting the lady
get on
at
the
night.
bus and he's fucking hanging there, all dead.
That's it.
So you have an hour. Like I remember the Def Leppard sound check would be 4 to 5, and then we're 5 to 6. Doors open at 6, so we got to be off stage at 6.
Right.
But what's more stressing than that is Def Leppard do their meet and greets during that time, and there's a VIP crowd that come in and take a photo on stage. So they're waiting. Rows of people are waiting on the side while we're checking, and the stage manager's like, hey.
Yeah, make room.
Can you chop, So we're like, oh, okay, it's good enough. And
right.
like once I said that band is they're so in tune. The monitor guy knows them, the sound guy knows them so well that it comes together even when it's rushed.
Yeah. So you pass off some guitars, change strings on some, probably live every once in a while, and then you have to unload. Show's over.
And there's the hustle and bustle. You're trying to stay out of Def Leppard's way. before they get on stage. So like the second, while they're playing Signs, which is their last song of the night, I'm already unplugging.
Wait a minute, wait. So they end with the acoustic song?
Yeah, but it's a big song, so everyone's singing along, and it's not, they kind of rock it up a bit live. It starts with the acoustic, and then he has an acoustic on a stand. That was a big part of my responsibility. Was he has this stand that's large like your table, getting back to what we were talking about. And it's just like a metal post that sticks into it with the stand on it.
Right.
So he plays it in one verse. Sometimes he doesn't even play it, but I got to bring it out for Modern Day Cowboy for 2 verses. And then when he goes to do the solo, I run on stage and I got to unplug it and run it back. So he uses it in Signs, Love Song, and Little Susie.
Okay.
Those were like the last 3 songs of the night. Oddly enough, all the acoustic.
Those are all 80s songs too, right?
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, well, Signs was 92, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but
what are the crowds like? Like, I mean, because there is something in the music industry that happened. I mean, 80s and 90s and stuff. There's all these huge bands that haven't. The number of huge bands in that era that are still going to, that are really big and still doing tours actually surprised me. There's a lot of them, but slowly they're getting older and some of them are stopping. Well, but has the new wave really come in and taken over that space yet? I'm not so convinced.
It's funny because music is so different now that I really don't know what the demographic would be, what their parallel audience would be like. You look at old bands now. If you go to a Kiss show or Def Leppard, even are at that age now where they're becoming AC/DC and classic rock bands like that. They're on that same boat. So their fans are predominantly old, but because of their classic status, young kids are getting into it. Like when I'm in the pubs, I see what kids like, and they're into Pink Floyd and all kinds of stuff. And you're like, wow, like I don't even know where you hear this. I mean, the internet clearly is opening things up, right? But I don't know what young Tesla fans would be listening to in today's music.
Right.
What, maybe The Darkness or something like that? I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
See, neither would I, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like I don't feel like that next wave of stadium rock or whatever has actually happened yet. I mean, there are some big
ones, but they're more flash in the pans. Like if you look at Black Keys. I saw them live twice, and they sell right to the rafters. The show's not really exciting. I can't picture these guys doing that 10, 15 years from now. But then again, Weezer are pretty boring live, and they still pack in.
There you go, yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I love Weezer. I still go to the show, but they're not nearly like the old bands.
And great songs will always get you, right?
Great, and a great performance. I mean, a lot of these younger bands are not giving it the way the old ones do, and I think that's what's kept the old ones around this long. Like, the only newish band that I could say, like, from the last generation would be Muse, that, like, still, they bring the full production, the talent level's there, everything is there. I mean, for arena rock.
Right. Well, that's it, because we're really talking about that level.
I'm talking top level, exactly. I mean, Coldplay, I guess because they're like U2,
still never, I gotta admit, I could still never finish one song.
Yeah, well, I've had to play a few songs, so I've had to finish them.
I mean, a lot of people love them, and that's cool, because, that's one of the cool things about music, too, is, there's a lot of selection out there, so you can like what you like and throw away what you don't like,
Yeah.
I could just never do it,
Well, that's one thing, like, I didn't consciously become a pub musician, but being thrown into that world and starting to enjoy it and realizing there was something for me there.
Right.
I wanted to be a tattoo artist.
Really?
I didn't want to be a pub musician at all.
Have you tattooed? Done a lot?
I've never tattooed. I started buying the materials.
Yeah.
And I was gonna go apprentice, and then the gigs just started.
I have probably one of my best ideas ever. We should get a bottle of whiskey.
That's a good idea. I like that idea. Stop there.
And then we'll get all the gear you need to tattoo, and you can give me your first tattoo just live like that.
All right.
Boom, I'm in.
That sounds like a plan. All right.
But I mean, half the bottle has to be gone before we start.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other half is me just disinfecting.
Right, exactly. That sounds about right. Now, you told me coming here you don't do drugs at all.
No.
Congratulations, sir. Not too many people I know can say that.
Yeah. Well, I drink a lot of whiskey. I'm not a saint.
No. I would never accuse you of being either,
I probably should have done drugs because I used to get myself in a lot of trouble when I was younger. But my dad used to be like, what's your deal, Like, are you on drugs? And be like, no, maybe I should be.
Well, it's funny because I find it's actually rare to hear that these days. I mean, well, you get people that grow up with alcohol. I won't even get into a debate of what's better, what's worse for you.
Right,
I mean,
that's a
everything's
whole
different.
other
It's what,
discussion.
exactly. It is what it is. And
it's not a righteous vegan attitude,
Yeah.
It's just I just never want to do drugs.
Yeah.
I don't feel compelled to do drugs.
And that's cool.
That's
Again, that's what I like. In society right now, you can choose to do what you want to do, and I'm all right with it. Pretty much everything.
If
as long
you're
as I'm not
okay
hurting
with
somebody
me
else,
not doing it,
Yeah.
like I used to be friends with this guy who was a heroin addict, and he'd come crash on my couch and be like, "Hey, Steve, if I conk out, like, slap me in the face or something." I'm like, that's a lot of responsibility. It's your
Right.
life you're talking about,
Yeah, man.
But this guy, he's worked with some greats like Van Halen and Metallica. He was a monitor guy for some of these massive tours, and you're like, he's sitting on my fucking couch and he's gonna die. Like,
he's got those faraway eyes already going.
but he was one of the most loyal friends I'd ever had.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I can't say enough good things.
One of the coolest things in that whole piece is actually like, there's a lot of people that say, what you could say it about alcohol. Oh, that person drinks, so he's a bad person, or this person does drugs,
That's
and so he's a
completely
bad.
irrelevant, yeah.
And you hear it all the time, like all the time. I've always tried to separate what a person does to whether he's a good person or not.
Right.
Or how do you judge if somebody is a good person? Is it just your idea of what good is or not?
Right.
And all that kind of thing. But it is, honestly,
And good
really,
people do bad things, and bad people do good
Absolutely.
things. Hitler loved his dog.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure it was a great dog.
I'm sure he was a great husband.
God damn, that escalated fast. Went right to the roof on that one. Shit, you could have started with the old man down the road,
No, I like to state my point.
Right, exactly.
Really clear.
But all that to say that it's really rare in the music industry to talk to someone like you who's been in it since probably teenage years to being a full-grown man and
never stepping away from it.
Yeah.
Always doing it.
Exactly, and not had a phase even.
Right.
You know.
Well, I definitely the drinking is escalated more than I'd probably like it to. But it's become a necessary means to an end at this point.
Well, I get it, like totally. I mean, especially like when you're doing pub gigs and they're paying you well. I mean, this is the food on your table and stuff like that, and that.
Well, the whiskey comes free a lot of the times, but then there's the shots. I start playing songs that people like, and But that gets me back to my original points. Like, being a pub musician, you have to learn songs that you wouldn't necessarily listen to or like because people are requesting them. And then by doing this, you start to see a relation between every style of music, be it Lady Gaga to Motorhead. It's all written with the same chords. Okay,
Right.
You could sit there and shit on anything you want, but at the end of the day, it's all written with the same chords. It's how it's delivered. It's like a good comedian just delivers their thing their way. So I learned to appreciate things that I found I wouldn't have appreciated staying in original music. If I was in Capone's, it would have been much more narrow, Sid Vicious style, fuck the world attitude.
Yeah.
But when you get a little older, you start being more open-minded, and you have to play. I mean, you want to make it in music on any platform. You got to be a little bit more respectful of everything that's around you.
Yeah.
Within reason.
No, I got you, and I think a lot of people do go through that too, right? And maybe some of us stick on it as well, but the whole thing of like, this is what I'm gonna do, and fuck everything else.
Right.
That's
the only music that's good, and I'm awesome, and you're shit.
That's
Fuck you.
Yeah, man. But at the end of the day, what's really cool, I mean, like about whatever level of music, and I don't even think if levels is a good word for it. It's just there's all these different venues and formats, styles, and all this kind of thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, music's bringing joy to someone.
Right.
We're winning the battle away.
That's a good point that you say about level, because just because you're playing arenas doesn't make you necessarily better. Definitely not better musicians or whatever.
Right.
Or your music is better. It's just it appeals to that demographic. At that time, commercial music just became a thing, and that's where they landed.
See, I always like that quote that probably the best guitar, and who could ever say who is the best or anything like that, but the best guitar player in the world sitting in his bedroom right now and nobody ever heard of him, right?
Probably.
Yeah, man.
But most people did hear anything.
Oh! There you go. So now we know where you're coming from. Now, you've done a lot of things. I want to get away from the guitar tech point from now for a moment. Now, you started on drums. You play guitar today. I know for a fact you played bass for a long time as well. You sing. You record albums.
Well, I did a lot of session work. I don't want to be that guy behind the board so much.
Right.
I was a sound man. Well, I did sound for
Oh,
you
okay,
guys
and sound,
even, right?
that's right, but those years are a bit blurry in my head.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to make them blurry in mine too.
Right.
Not because of your band, but I'm just saying. I wasn't. It wasn't my calling.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it when it went well.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to sugarcoat things that aren't easy to sugarcoat,
Yeah.
it's stressful because everyone's looking at you when they hear feedback and they don't realize what you're dealing with on the stage. Sometimes it's not always the best scenario, right?
Exactly.
So it's but still at the end of the day they're looking at you, right?
Yeah, it's rare somebody's like, man, hey soundman, you did a great job tonight.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm not talking, musicians say that to soundman a lot,
Right?
You know, but from the crowd, you know, it's either there's no comment because it's good, or there's tons of comment because it's shit, right?
There's the other end of it too, like, oh, make my son loudest, or well, if your son is shit, I don't really want to. You know,
Right.
I got to look at the greater good. I'm sorry
Yeah,
you didn't
man.
give him enough guitar lessons. You know.
But I'm always intrigued by people that play all the instruments as well. That form typical rock band. I'm talking like, you know, bass, drums, guitar, and whatever else that goes along with it. Because I do have a feeling that people that play multiple instruments tend to, not always, but tend to have more of a global vision of the song and how it's all working together.
Yeah, and how a band works together.
Yeah, well, that's it. You know, you've all met guitar head that's you know, just wants
Right.
his lead sound as number one. Everything else is on the back burner. You know,
Right.
not thinking about the whole song and how it's all working. But how did it affect you? Like, you know, you started on drums your first
Started on
bands?
drums, yeah.
Playing guitar, did it have an effect on your guitar playing?
Well, every instrument I learned had an effect on whatever else I learned along the way. First it was drums, then it was bass. And all the while I'd be noodling on guitars. Like when I was in Pushing Up Daisies, I'd take one of the guitar players' guitars home, and he asked me to write songs. So I'd come up with riffs. So I knew a little bit. Like I had no theory in my pocket,
Yeah.
but it was, Dave Grohl didn't really have any theory either. Right?
Well, that's it.
He
eh?
just knew it sounded good, and he made sense of it. And so, as the years would pass by, like I'd be, some people would see me play guitar. I'm like, hey, do you want to kind of help out my band? I do one-offs in Ottawa with this band called the Band F,
Okay.
the EF, and just playing secondary guitar, kind of indie rock, and then I would be on drums with this other band, and just kind of like spreading all over the place. But and so while you're doing this, you're just sponging, you're absorbing how different people work and how songs are written, and how instruments are played, and how they play off each other. But even as a kid, like before I learned how to play instruments, like I liked Van Halen the band.
Right.
I didn't like Eddie Van Halen, just Eddie. I mean, to me, Alex Van Halen is one of the most underrated rock drummers of all time. People never really talk about him because Eddie's just so there, and Roth is so there. like where does Alex fit in there? But
Right.
when you listen to anybody trying to play Van Halen, the first thing that you get, I see a lot of guys imitating Eddie and coming kind of close here and there, but I've never seen a guy nail Alex.
Right.
I've
right.
never seen a guy nail that sound, that the washy cymbal and that pingy snare. Like
I'm so happy to hear you say that though. Like about hearing the music as a whole,
Right.
as opposed to separate it into the individual pieces right away, which a lot of people tend to do. Especially, I don't know why, but guitar players a lot, right?
Yeah.
Because I think they're for multiple reasons. One is they're probably trying to, find out that magical blowjob note there, and they're all searching for
Everybody
it.
starts their instrument for their own reasons.
Right.
I didn't start music to get girls. I started music because I liked it. Like it was my escape. I come from a rough childhood. Like, it was a lot of fighting in the house, and music it's funny. There was no musicians in the house. There was no music in the house. It was
Okay.
silence or fighting. And music was just kind of got me out of it. Playing music kept me out of trouble. It kept me away from the fights, and it brought me something positive in life. And it's funny because in that day and age, in the 80s, when you were listening to hard rock or punk or anything that's not really safe back then, that was what was causing your trouble with these fucking hypocrites. I got my dad upstairs who doesn't even listen to music, and he's there fighting. It's like, well, maybe you should listen to music, Dad.
Well, that's it.
Maybe a little John Denver or something.
Whatever will cool it out. Right? Cool it out. My last guest, Danny Rebel, painted this.
Yeah.
Joe Strummer
I see
came
that.
up in your era. Now I've heard you do Clash songs before.
I love the
I
Clash,
have.
yeah.
Now, what did you start to play when you first started playing music? What like, do you remember that moment, the first day, whether it was drums, guitar, or bass, or whatever? Do you remember, like, oh, I'm going to play this or try to play this?
Well, I mean, I tried to play Van Halen, but I think AC/DC made more sense at
Right.
that level. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think I could learn Back in Black. Or, I remember Electric from the Cult.
Mm-hmm.
I think I learned every instrument on that album through and through. I could almost memorize every lick on that.
Did you know that one of the first major concerts I ever went to, I remember there was me, Stu, and a couple other friends. Stu's one of my best friends. We took the train to Ottawa, and the Cult just came out with Electric,
And that's
they're
GNR.
opening up. Nope, they were opening up for Billy Idol.
Oh, they were opening for Billy
Yeah,
Idol.
yeah, yeah.
'Cause later on that tour, GNR opened up for them.
Exactly, you know, it was, you know, that's how it works in that
yeah,
level,
really
right?
fast. Really fast.
Yeah. But they were like, Billy Idol was still on fire coming out of the vagina. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's nuts.
On stage, like their legs spread,
But
and
the
he
Cult
walks
were a
up.
mess back then, too.
And the Cult, though, they were on fire.
Really,
You know what I mean? Like, they had just come out with Electric. That's like our time.
raw
to show-
album, yeah.
You know, so both bands were like hungry and attacking.
Yeah, Billy in '87 was still going.
Well, that's it. You know, the
Yeah.
Charmed Life tour just came out.
Yeah, exactly. And he had Steve Stevens, was just
I mean,
forget about it.
Yeah, man. He plays laser guns.
Another
on
one of
guitar.
those
Woo-hoo!
underrated guitar players.
Oh yeah,
too,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. But I remember that at that era, and I remember thinking right away when that album came out how the Cult really just like, you know, they started out there with the Southern Death Cult, and then they opened
Yeah.
their Dream
I had all
Time
those
stuff.
albums.
Oh yeah, man,
Yeah.
me too. I had them
I
on
had Dream
vinyl,
Time.
live at Lyceum and stuff like that. It was a big one. But then it's like they got hit by the AC/DC bug, you know what I mean?
Right.
It came out with Electric.
I
and-
loved Electric because although it sounded like AC/DC, it still had their stamp on
Yeah.
it. I mean, Ian Astbury's voice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Still good too.
Yeah.
You know, I know. I heard.
And
some
Les
people
Warner's
listening.
drums on that are incredible.
Yeah. So when you started playing the like music, and you're like, okay, I can play, you know, kind of.
But I actually really loved Prince growing up.
You know what?
You know, everybody says, "Oh, you play all these instruments. What do
Yeah.
you think you're Dave Grohl?" I'm like, no. I wish I was Prince. Like Dave Grohl's adorable, but Prince
I'm so happy to hear you say that.
Prince plays better on each instrument than anyone in his own band.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl's probably a better drummer, and that's where it stops.
I remember my 12th birthday. Now, I you have to understand, I grew up in the country, like totally country. I had to ski from the school bus to the house.
Right.
Okay? And my 12th birthday came along. And I went to a French Catholic elementary school in Vankleek-Hill, Ontario, with one traffic light, right? And my mom said, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" And Purple Rain had just come out.
Right.
I said, "I want
My first album, by the way.
Oh, yeah? I love it.
Stay Hungry and Purple Rain.
Right. Stay hungry.
And I met Dee Snider once, and I said, "Stay Hungry was the first album I wrote." He goes, "Yeah, I hear that." I'm like, "Yeah, I got that and Purple Rain at the same time." He goes, "Yeah, I've never really heard that."
But yeah, so I drove to Ottawa with my mom and my friends, and like I said, French Catholic school in the
Right.
country. Said we're gonna go see this movie called Purple Rain by Prince,
Right.
and they're like, "All right, we're gonna eat spaghetti on the way. It'll be really good. Come with me, guys." You know. So we went there. They're all like, "What the hell is this?" Man, I was captivated by that movie the whole time because I'd already had like the 1999 vinyl
Yeah.
before that too. I was
Great
all
album,
over it, right?
And everything pre-1999, he played every instrument on.
It's incredible.
First 4 albums.
I've
yeah.
always been a huge
Yeah.
Prince fan, and like that guy could just jam on guitar like crazy. You know, he'll do his big
People
show.
don't even know.
He'll do his
Yeah.
big show and go end up the night in a small
Yeah,
club
go play in the
with
clubs.
the whole other band that he brings on tour with him, and then just jam out for hours after playing 2.5
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
It's nuts,
That's the
man.
kind of guy he was. Yeah.
Yeah. It blows me away.
He
and I
really
find it
he
inspiring.
lived to play music.
Mhm.
Those guys they're not easy to come by.
No, man. No. I was literally sad when he kicked the bucket. You know.
For me, it was a big one. You know, like he influenced me a lot. Like he was one of my favorite instrumentalists and songwriters. I had all those albums, everything
Yeah.
up until Sign of the Times or Parade. I think.
Which I loved that song. I wasn't crazy about that album, but that song, Sign of the Times,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, the album as a whole, it didn't necessarily need to be a double album, but it was a lot of good stuff on there, though.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Now, you are a cat lover.
Oh, yeah.
I know this because I follow you on Instagram. Follow Steve Creep on Instagram and you
Yeah,
will
it's
see
either-
lots of pictures of his cats.
It's either I'm promoting my gigs or his cat, or me trying to get out of bed and the cats are on me.
Yeah, man. Did you always have animals?
No,
with you?
my first cat was, I was in grade 6, and there was this cat coming around the house, and my dad would always be like, I don't want any animals around here, or scare it away. So I'd scare it away and then run around the fence and go, come back, you know.
Yeah.
So the cat loved me, and my dad could never figure out why this fucking cat wouldn't stop coming back, but just like secretly luring it
He
back.
liked their hot dogs, right?
He wasn't. My dad was a weird guy. Like I don't know what it was about him, but he loves animals, but he didn't want a pet for whatever reason. So he'd always he'd play really tough, you know. And then when the cat would come in, we'd like, well, like Dad, look, it's in the house now, and and eventually started sleeping in the basement. And he didn't seem to have too much of a problem with it until one day it had fucking 5 babies. You know?
And then he had 5 problems with it.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit, I thought it was fat. I didn't know I was pregnant. It was looking for a place to nest. That's what it was doing.
Right. Cats will do that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it chose our house because, well, we were letting it in, and, you know, feeding it and giving it love.
I bet you anything that when you weren't around, the cat probably went to your dad. Your dad was like, all right, nobody's watching. I'm gonna hang out with the cat a bit, you know?
even today, if my dad comes to my house, he stands there and he won't bend down and he won't pet the cat. But if the cat rubs him against him, he'll look, he's still nice to it. I would go home some years after leaving home, and that same cat, Mitzi, she would be on his lap. He'd be asleep in his rocking chair with the TV on, and the cat would be like just on his lap. So he loved cats, and they loved him. He just didn't want to show it.
Yeah.
He was kind of like that as a human in general.
See, I'm happy to hear this because I do believe that there are a couple of things in this world that make the world and people better. I believe that a person that's really into music and really likes animals is probably not going to hurt other people as much.
I would like to think that.
You know,
I would like to think.
Except for the ones with those crazy fucking sketched out cats with little ears. They're always attacking you. I met one like that. I didn't like that one so much.
Well, my most recent cat was she's a mom with a daughter, and she was aggressive when we got her. Like my girlfriend at the time kind of like chose her out with me, and I was like, I don't know about this, man. Like, I had Kitty for 20 years. She was the most amazing cat ever, and so I wasn't even ready for a new cat, but she saw how it was affecting me not having my cat around. She's like, you need one. So,
ever have dogs?
I never had dogs. I had dogs with ex-girlfriends, but it was always the ex-girlfriends who chose the dogs. Right. And I was okay with it. I didn't mind it, but they would eat my CDs and everything.
But then you have to break up with the girl and the dog.
Yeah. I mean, as a musician who works as much as I do, it's just hard to have a dog around. I'm alone.
Yeah.
You know, if I had a girlfriend and I knew that she was going to stick around, maybe a dog would make sense. But I've been down that road twice and it didn't work out.
Yeah, for sure. And like cats, they're fairly independent. You leave a bunch of food in, and you can go do your gig, and they're all cool.
They'll yell at me in the morning or on the weekend when I get back. And when I was on tour, man, I had 3 people feeding my cats.
You got the whole team.
I had to assemble a team. I went to a store. I duplicated my key. I mean, everybody can walk in my house now. It's probably like. It's like a whorehouse now. Everyone's got the key.
That's great. That's great. What's next for Mr. Steve Creek? What you got going on?
Well, I'm just going to keep playing solo right now during the week.
Yeah.
Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, all that. I take Monday off. This is like my weekend, so this is me on my day off.
Well, musicians don't have weekends, right?
We don't have days off. You know?
Right.
This is why I'm single. I don't know how you maintain what you've got, but
I'm a very lucky man.
Yeah. Just keep drugging her or whatever it is you're doing. Exactly. You know? But for me, it's girls that don't like taking a back seat to how much I love what I do.
Yeah.
So. But,
no, I understand that, man.
And there's a lot that goes in. I have to learn a lot of songs. Like once you learn your dozen songs for your tour, or whatever it is you do, you're pretty set in stone. But for me, it's like with all the projects I got to constantly learn new songs. I got to constantly keep up with booking gigs, organizing musicians in all the different bands.
So you take care of the booking as well, right?
Yeah,
that's a good chunk right there. I'm sure.
I just did a gig on Saturday with like 17 musicians on stage. It was just
oh my god,
all Stones. We had 4 drummers, but 2 drummers on stage at a time, so they'd rotate. 3 guitar players, percussion, bass, sax, harmonica, keys, 2 backup vocals, lead singer. I mean,
man, not only do I find it hard enough to manage myself and, the guys in a small band, how the hell do you organize 17 musicians?
That's Dan O'Peace, man.
Right.
It's all his hard work, He's got an idea. He wants to make a thing called the Montreal Rock Orchestra, so that's one thing that I'm...
Oh, wow.
That's one thing that I'm involved in right now, and I don't know how frequent that's going to be because it's a big thing. He wants to do like bigger corporate style shows because that's what it's geared for. If you're going to make any money out of it, especially. You know?
Right, well, 17 people on it.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to divide. We're all going to McDonald's at the end of the night, pretty much, you know. So there's that, and then there's the I got my band, the Jones, which is just like a trio, a rock trio where I play guitar and I sing, and we do all kinds of music, everything from funk and disco to rock and punk and everything.
Yeah.
If you ask for it, chances are I'll come close to it if I don't know it.
You have a huge repertoire in your head,
I'm a repertoire. But like I've always that's what I think led me towards playing covers was I've always loved learning songs. Even when I was be on tour with bands, they'd be like, oh, you seen we noodle on guitar at parties. They'd all be drinking and smoking.
Right.
And I just wanted to play guitar, so I'm that guy. That the show ends, and if I was on drums all night, I'll play guitar afterwards.
Right.
And Frank Hannon's like that. He finishes in the arenas. We got out of Quebec City at 1:00 in the morning. Def Leppard were already in the next sound, and we were sitting there just playing guitar. So he's.
See, I
he's like that.
That's a true musician.
That's a true musician.
Whether he was big or small, he'd still be playing his guitar, right?
You don't see that a lot. Like a guy who doesn't need to do that. I mean, he just does. I mean, Tesla is his job per se. He made his living at it, and now he has a passion to write different music. But he's known as Frank Hannon from Tesla, so he has to live with that. And
Absolutely.
there are way worse things in this world to be known for living as. But
hi, my name's Mark. I work at the bank.
Yeah, exactly. Or even
ever hear me?
But so he's got he wants to keep playing music on all levels. He's not just a rock musician for one.
Right.
He's got a lot of dynamics to him. So. He wants to outlet all that too, and he's still like a little kid. We're listening to we were listening to what's that guy that's Oh Carolina?
Oh, right.
Shaggy. We were listening to Shaggy backstage. He was loving it.
He was dancing with it.
Fucking kidding me? This guy.
Hey, you take influence from everywhere, man.
And it goes to show he's a lot like me in that mindset where if it's good, he'll like it. He'll latch on to something there, and he's still a kid and passionate about it. So I still like playing music, even though I do it every day. I need my days off now and then. More for my mental state. The pub world is surrounded by a lot of weird characters, as you can imagine. So,
but see, that's not an easy gig when you think about it. I mean, how many nights a week are you in the pub?
Well,
if you're not on the road,
I did 315 shows last year.
Damn, son, step up your game.
So that it's playing that much music is not a challenge in my opinion. It's mentally being prepared to do it every day. So like I'm an introvert a lot of the times. People think I'm always loud and I'm drinking.
I know what you mean about that.
But there are days where and you can see there's some guys complain that I don't get on stage right away. I pull the Axl Rose. I go on sometimes like an hour late. Like I just I don't want to get up there, but I gotta force myself. I gotta find that thing that motivates me. And normally about 2-3 songs in, you're all good to go.
You find yourself there.
You find yourself there. Yeah.
Get
normally by 2-3 songs, it's 2-3 shots.
Right. Well, that's it. But you're doing what? 3 sets a night?
Yeah, I'm supposed to do 3 sets a night, but I end up doing 2 massive sets.
Right.
Like I'll do like a 2-hour set to start the night, which is already pretty much my mandate for the whole night. And then my record is 6 hours and 22 minutes with Capone's.
God, that's about 4 hours too long.
Yeah, I mean you can't speak or feel your hands the next day, but. Everyone wonders why I get the energy, but the energy comes from the energy. It's like when you start exercising, you have more energy.
Absolutely.
And there is the fine line of partying and too hard and working yourself to the... I have worn myself out once or twice, but I just find a way to pace myself for the next 2 weeks. Instead of stop,
right.
I pace myself.
Push through it. Have you heard about the Montreal Calling show coming up in Montreal?
The Clash thing.
Yeah.
I've been talking to Mitch about that, and I would love to be a part of it. But right now, we got to figure out the schematics of all that.
Yeah. Just
you're on that, aren't you?
I'm not allowed to say that I'm on that yet.
Okay.
I got other commitments before that.
Right. It's been talked about with us.
Yeah, buddy.
So I'm not on it yet, but I'd like to see it work out, and so would he. But I gotta actually contact him in the next couple of days. And we'll
I find it so cool because, like you're saying, like the Clash are some of the first, songs that you played, and that. I know I've heard you. I've been in a pub when Steve's played before, and I heard him singing, and you do it real good, too.
And I'll do, like, Train in Vain and stuff, and people are like, wow, the pub guy doesn't normally do that.
No, it's fantastic. So, listen, it's great having you on here. Yeah, we're going to wrap it up with what you got coming up. So yeah, like I said,
everything playing everywhere. Like honestly, I took a trip out to Vegas, and I want to try and get my hand in the States a little bit, and doing different kinds of gigs there, right, big baby? And then I want to play. I just want to keep playing on any capacity. I'll be a hired gun. I did Just for Laughs last year on bass. So
oh, cool.
The phone rings and I deal with it, you know. And if the phone doesn't ring, then I pick up the phone and I deal with it.
Yeah, man.
So at the end of the day, I just hunt gigs down, and it could be on any capacity. Original music. I play with Playhouse.
Right.
We just opened up for we got Helix coming up. We did.
Well, where'd they be? What was that song? Rock You!
Yeah, exactly. We just did Buck Cherry, and we did Buck Cherry. We did Dead Daisies and L.A. Guns. We're like the default hard rock opening band in Montreal.
Right. Hey, that's a good thing, man.
So that's all, like a Motley Crue style band, you know, like all originals.
Yeah.
I love doing that because that's my roots right there. Yeah. But like I said, anything on any capacity, I'll play with indie rockers and right up to the most polished and even metal and stuff like that if it was the right kind of thing. But, yeah.
Fantastic.
Whatever, man.
Steve, thanks for coming on to K-Man Don't Know Shit. And if ever you're in a pub in Montreal or around or you hear music, chances are this man has been there or he still is there. Catch you guys later. Peace out.
Later.
K-Man don't know shit.